record right here as well.
Recording started.
All right, so welcome. I'm going to get back to these expectations and stuff like that, but I did want to allow it on the very beginning when I'm starting to go over some stuff that I will be asking some of you if you'd like to read some things in class today. So if you want to, if you can please just have your microphone all ready to go, so when we get to that point, it'll be like a smooth transition and we can kind of save time there. So if you're wanting to do that, please do it. So now I'm going to skip back to what we're going over right now. Today is going to be South America. This is part 3. So remember, we have 3 parts in each section that we're doing. So we're going to go over the human impact on the environment in South America, and then we're going to focus in on what's called deforestation, and we'll be talking about that today. This is where you should be pacing wise, okay? So you should be all the way completed with lesson 10, okay? A lesson 11 quiz is due today. Lesson 12 is Monday, and then next week 13, 14, 15 need to be done, and we're done with the block. So it's really quick. These classes, these block classes, are really quick. So make sure you're getting caught up. You will have a little bit of time next week, to get all that stuff in, but that's where it's going to come down. I'm going to zero out your grade book fairly soon, so you know what you need to do to get a passing grade, okay? So just be aware that that is coming up. Alright, so some things I'm trying to set up here in class, making sure we're all good. We can maximize our 25 minutes we have together. Is a couple things. So I want everybody to be able to follow along, okay, with me as we're kind of going along throughout the lesson. If you have a question, okay, I can't always look at the chat. I'm trying to jump back and forth, looking at the chat, looking at there. So if you can raise your hand, or if you're wanting to speak, because I said this right as we begin class, that I'm going to ask for some participants to read today. That if you'll have your microphone all ready and set up. Respond to questions the first time if you can. Use the away button. So if you're away, so I see some people that they are actually away right now. I understand things happen during class, so just make sure you do that. And then also use the Blackboard chat tool correctly. So I can see all your guys' private chats. So you probably want to, just be careful. I see everything. And I will try to get to your private chats as soon as I can. I know some people are private chatting me right now. I'll get to them ASAP. Okay? All right. So this is what I want you to know by the end of this lesson. Okay? So at the end of this lesson, on this portion, the human impact of South America, you'll be able to identify what environmental factors are affecting South America. Okay? So we're going to kind of go over those right now. Okay, the first one is poaching. Okay, so everybody like these pictures? I know these are cool animals right here. Would anybody like to read this first little bit about poaching? If you do, raise your hand. Okay, so Samantha, I'll have you read that. So I'm going to get off the talk and let you take over. Are you able to get that working? Samantha, I do have some other things to read as well, so maybe I'll have you read the next one, if that's all right. Okay. So I'll have you work on getting that up there. So what it says is poaching. Poaching can apply to an illegal hunting, fishing, or eating of animals or plants. Poaching does not apply to domestic animals, only those in the wild. A poacher is someone who illegally sells animals or animal parts or plants for profit. Poaching applies to animals being hunted without a license, animals hunting without following proper hunting protocols. So you probably heard of poaching before. So it's not great. And the biggest problem is we don't manage our animals well. You get people that are on the endangered species list. Okay. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to send out a link to everybody, push that out. And what I want you to do is write on the board here, okay, some animals that are going extinct in South America because, well, it might not just be because of poaching. It could be because of other things, but just some animals that are going extinct. So you can kind of take that list. So I'm going to put it out in the chat. Okay, so I just put that in the chat. I will also push that link out to you as well. So you can follow me on there. So that should have gone to your browser there. And then I want you to put on the board in just a second. You have the whiteboard permissions now of just some animals that you saw on there that you might think, oh wow, that would be interesting. Okay. Very good. So I had somebody put the Amazonian manatee. Actually, 2 people put that. Very good. What are some other animals that are possibly, they're not extinct, but they're going dangerous? The bush dog. Okay. The golden lion ptarmigan. See, and that's the thing about, there's some animals that only live in South America that we can't find anywhere else. And so that's why we're like, oh wow, never done that. I like the picture of the bear, the Andes bear. That was a pretty bear over there. Okay. Very good. We got some other ones coming in. The black squirrel monkey. The Wait, no, oh, they're still working on it. Chilean. Okay. The Guadalupe's giant tortoise. Yeah, the black squirrel monkey. Black rockfish. Okay, very good. The cocoa board nosed bat. Wow. Okay. See, there's a lot of them that are just on. If we're hunting illegally and stuff like that, or doing what else we're going to be talking about pretty soon. It's not good. Yellow white swallowtail. Okay. The wonderfully blissfully Turk's cactus plant. Yep, because plants, right? Plants can also be endangered. Okay. Very good. The Chilean dolphin. Okay. Very good. Black spider monkey. Cool. But you can kind of see all of these ones that are kind of going, they're on the endangered species list and are possibly going extinct. And then somebody talked the dark bolo mouse as well. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's move on real quick. But you can kind of see here exactly, you know, all these things that are, these animals that are important to that area. Okay. So poaching is not only, that's just one way, right, that things can happen, right, that animals can become extinct. Another one is called deforestation. Okay, so by a raise of hand, does anybody want to read a little bit about deforestation? All right, Samantha, let's see if we can get this to work here. Okay, I'll go off my little talk thing so you can get on now. Oh yeah, I gotta give you privileges. I'm so sorry. I forget about that. Audio. Okay, you should be good to go now.
Deforestation, as we have learned in previous units, deforestation is a process by which large areas of land are cleared for cattle grazing monocrops. roads, buildings, and other reasons. Deforestation is one of the main causes for the growing numbers of threatened, endangered, or extinct animals.
Awesome. Thank you, Samantha. And I forgot to give you your privileges, and that's probably why you couldn't do it the first time. So my bad there. Sorry. um, I did have some other people on the chat type in a couple things. It said one species of chinchilla already went extinct because humans made coats out of them, and they said it take up to 500 of those to make just one coat. Okay. Um, so yeah, I mean, we don't want these animals to go extinct. We want them to stay around. We want them to be good stewards of what we're doing. Okay, but that's one of the problems they're facing in South America here. Okay, as you can see, there's some areas that are being cleared, and we're going to talk about those reasons just in a little bit. Uh, One is called slash and burn um, agriculture, and you can kind of see the area where you have on this picture to the left here, you have the Amazon rainforest, but then you have this area that they are growing food in. Okay, and we kind of talked about the last unit as well. Why they're growing food? It's because they need the food, right, to make money, and because they have such poor countries, but they're also affecting the environment. So just something to look out for. So we need to find like a sustainable development. Okay. Does anybody else want to read real quick? Just raise your hand. Anybody besides Samantha? If not Samantha, you can read it. All right. I think you already have privileges, so I'm just going to let you talk about sustainable development.
Sustainable development is the catchphrase for the future of South America. Sustainable development is defined as using resources well so that human needs can be met while preserving the environment now and in the future.
Awesome. Thank you, Samantha. Appreciate it. So sustainable development is being able to try to preserve the future. And somebody gave a good idea up here. Oh, where was it at? On the chat. It must have already flew up here. Oh, talked about domesticating. Oh, right there. Bailey said it. So they domesticated one species to help them not go extinct, right? So we do have animal preserves and stuff like that's helping out so these ones won't go extinct, right? Uh, so somebody said they actually own one. Their name is King Sylvester. Okay, cool. Yeah, tell us what species that is, Bailey. Everybody wants to know in class. That's fantastic. Um, so, I mean, it's something we got to do. We got to make sure we're sustaining what we have, and we can be able to reuse it and make sure it's there for future generations to go. Okay, so as we're moving on to 4.06, it's called a focus on deforestation. So we're going to talk about why and the ways things are being, the Amazon rainforest is going away. Okay, and it says after this lesson you'll be able to correctly identify what are the main causes of deforestation. Okay, so this is a long one, so I will actually just read this one. But if anybody else besides Samantha wants to read, I'd love to have anybody do it, and don't worry about do that. Oh, Mark, awesome. Yeah, I'll have you read. Do you want to read this one? Sure, okay. I will give you audio rights. And so go ahead. I'll get off my talk.
Slash and burn agriculture. In countries with poor economies, such as those in South America, people turn to agriculture to meet the everyday needs of living. Poor farmers then migrate to agricultural settlement areas and cut down several acres of land to use for farming. They then burn the stumps to release the nutrients into the soil needed to grow crops. This is essential because the rainforest, nearly all of the nutrients required to sustain life are found within the plants and trees and not in the soil. Farming like this is the only way for people to survive. They raise crops to feed themselves and to sell to make money to live by. However, with no trees, nutrients are soon washed away by rain. This can happen in as little as 3 years when the farmers are forced to move to new land. As the land they cleared becomes useless and unable to yield crops, the land is left to regrow, but as the soil is left barren, the forest will take a long time, up to 50 years, to grow back.
Thank you, Mark, for reading that. Perfect. Yeah, so just like Mark read there, yeah, it takes, I mean, what happens is they burn that area, right? And they can use it, the soil, but only the nutrients only last for a certain while. And because of all the rain that comes in, it washes it away, and they have to go, they have to move on to another place, and it can take 50 years to grow back. So that's a long time. 50 years. Yeah, I don't want to know where I'm going to be in 50 years. So it's something we really got to watch out, okay? Another reason for it is intensive agriculture, okay? Does anybody want to read about intensive agriculture real quick? Okay, so Samantha does. Is anybody else? All right, Samantha, I think you're up. We got one more thing to read after that anyway, so.
Large companies clear vast amounts of land, often for cattle pastures, to fill the world beef market. They also use the land for large plantations and use pesticides and irrigation systems that are very damaging to the land. However, the chemicals they use to kill pests also kill other animals and cause a lot of damage to the surrounding areas. The rain washes the chemicals into the water system, killing the fish. Another popular industry in South America, and the use of irrigation systems and banana plantations affects the natural water balance of the land, which can have other damaging effects. Land used in these ways not only affected much of the surrounding area negatively, but also can take centuries to regrow.
Thank you, Samantha. Appreciate it. Yeah, so as she talked about, right, you had those, they got area that they want to make room for cattle, because actually raising cattle is one of the most profitable things you can do over there. And so I like a steak as much as anybody, but you have that trade-off if you do that. Okay, so that's another. So intensive. So we got slash and burn, we got intensive agriculture, and then the last one is about commercial logging. Would somebody like to read about commercial logging? This is the last one we have to read. Okay, anyone else? That's all right. Samantha, I'm going to let you take it then.
Commercial loggers cut forests to sell as timber or pulp. This is done either selectively taking only certain types of tree or through clear cutting, whereby all trees in a certain area are removed. Selective felling is more damaging than expected, with studies showing that felling a small amount of trees in a forest can affect a great deal of trees in the surrounding area. However, when left to regrow, the area recovers quite quickly. When area cutting has taken place, it is very difficult for the forest to regrow at all because all the nutrients have been removed. Trees are taken away, not burnt, so their nutrients are not released into the soil.
All right, thank you, Samantha, for reading so much there. Okay, so we kind of understand the three big ways of why deforestation is happening. Okay, so that leads us to our exit ticket. Okay, which I'm going to put up there real quick, but I am going to say, so everybody needs to listen up because this is going to be on the exit ticket, that the secret word is Amazon. Okay, Amazon. Okay, so let me get that, and I will push this out to you as well. Okay, put it on the chat here. Okay. Okay, because I'm nice, I put it in the chat too. So y'all remember. Okay, and then I'll just push it out to you this way. Should come up on a browser for you if you need that option. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop recording. I will stay after to answer any questions or whatever. But that is our lesson for this week. So I'm going to stop recording and then I will answer any questions.
Recording stopped.